Davido, I'm up there.
Shout out to Davido. Bye, my dear.
Shout out to Davido. He's releasing a track with produced by pheelz.
Yeah, shout out to pheelz.
What did this obsession with crowd vocals and choirs? What's it all about?
It's this thing that Nigerians have been doing for the past. Slowly, it's crept into our zeitgeist for the past close to 2 years now.
Huh.
I mean, it's always been here, but maybe people that were using it were underground, but then you're seeing Burna Boy do it, you're seeing Allstars do it on like you're seeing Ashake do it, Omokpe, you're seeing who else has done it? A bunch of people have done it. So there's a difference between crowd vocals and crowd vocals is also like finesse. Finesse. Crowd vocals as well. You're seeing people use choirs, like it's a bunch of things. Because people want to, the music is traveling right now, right? And you need to bring more musicality to the music, way more than just beats and lamba. So people are trying to increase the improve the experience for the artist, and it also shows that artists are consuming way more music. The exposure is better. So that means the things that the way they might want to consume things is going to be different. And coincidentally, it also comes at a time when people are using choirs promotional strategy for the music. So you are seeing Peru, Allstars, Bloody Samaritan. The best version of Bloody Samaritan is the one that Official Loud did. Facts, right? That's like it's a thing. They did one with Peru. A bunch of people have gone that route. If you're really attentive, you would have seen it. So which brings me to this conversation. Number one, it shows that Nigerian artists are consuming music. Number two, it shows that they are aware of global standards and the need to improve the musicality of the music. And number three, it just shows you that they want to give fans a different experience. And number four, people have Grammy dreams. Simple.
But do you think this signals some kind of change of approach in his music, in the music?
Oh, 1,000%. Bro, 1,000%. Bro.
Huh.
Yes, it does. It's look at the history of Davido's music. It's been a lot of. So let's go back. First era, Shizzy produced music. His first album as well. Like the music was a lot of pop records. Sometimes you will see some EDM influences. You have EDM influences has been a common denominator in Davido's music throughout his career. Throughout. Different producers, and he always kills them. EDM house types of music, he kills them, right? Then there was another era where the music was traditional type music. Galadros, those types of music. And then you're seeing the era of Mafikizolo and Uru as well, did some records. Then you're seeing the really pop Afrobeats, Lamba, E-Fall, all those records. And now he's here. Then he went back to Miyoko type pop records, Miyoko Kizania type pop records for his album, A Better Time. Yeah. A Good Time is basically what you're seeing R&B, you're seeing EDM, influenced Afrobeats, you're seeing some of the records. But this one, you had the record like, something like maybe you might expect from like a Miyoko or a Kizania. So it's been different. But this one is definitely different because all those things you can box them into the ordinarily pop genre. This is a totally leftist approach. Maybe not for Davido because a lot of people don't realize that guy is a music guy. He consumes a hell of a lot of music. People will tell you, people who are close to him tell you that he knows music. And when he talks about music, and if you are fortunate to be in a situation where he's making music, you will not be surprised that he's a successful artist. You understand that number one is first and foremost a producer and an A&R before he's an artist. So the artist part is possibly complementing that, and that's why he's been able to make a lot of hits. You will see that, right? So this is a totally leftist approach. It also offers insights into what his album might sound like. 1,000%, it does.
All right, so you hinted at Grammy dreams.
Oh, bro, come on. Yes.
Yeah, I agree that Davido has.
Yes. What are you saying? Yeah, bro. This is a totally left up, bro. This is totally left. Look at our brother that was born when they wanted to release Grammy. The first thing goes, anytime I go,
Anything for the Grammys, man.
bro. It's also because maybe not the idea of anything for the Grammys. It's because as I've said it several times. We said it on the episode where we talked about does Davido have any point to prove? Artists are narcissists, and the greatest superstar artists have an insatiable appetite. Like that's why before I used to fault them for not rating the local scene and so on. I still fault them sometimes, especially when it borders on blatant disrespect. But you can't blame them. Like when you conquered this, you want to conquer something bigger. Then you go on that thing bigger. Like for example, 5 years ago, Davido's goal might have been, oh, let's get the forest certification. Now you have forest certifications. Okay, let's have a Billboard hit. That's probably going to happen eventually. He doesn't need to hustle about that. It's a major. But the Grammy is something that is not exactly open to everybody. It's an quote unquote an exclusive club. We broke down the reason. If you want to understand why this change of sound is necessary for Davido to get a Grammy, go watch some of our Grammy episodes that we did in February and March, and the ones that we did last year. Davido's sound as it was can't win the Grammy. It's not possible. Like a good time, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry if you hurt your feelings, that's your personal problem. It's not going to. So for him to actually get to that level, 1000% needs to change the sound. And in a lot of ways, a lot of people also, maybe he also wanted to change his sound by himself, right? Because you get tired. That's why you're going to see, I've said it several times on the show, Madonna's 1995, 96 album was primarily hip-hop influenced, right? You're looking at people like, who is there that I can give an example that maybe people are able to relate to better? Kanye had done everything, then he went and did 808s and Heartbreaks. That changed everything and influenced melody crap in another way because it was inside getting assisted with people like Kid Cudi, right? So it's sometimes artists just want to change it, they want to express. Like Pusha T's new album is a totally different approach. Like Pharrell's production sounds like production from the Clips. So it's different. Some artists just want to express. But bro, there is no way, we are not stupid. 1000% our Grammy dreams. Because look at the rollout for the album. Oh, like talking about conscious stuff. Oh, how to show you where I'm from. Oh, like it's a conscious change. And people don't just change things like that. Show you where I'm from, I'm going to show you this. And then the title of the song is Stand Strong. You know, and it's featuring the samples, the choir. And then the opening sequence of the video, I sing Kanye West, a serial Grammy winner, you know. Behind that same Bakuli, you know, who was on the Beyonce. Yeah, like you're saying, like all these papoose. It's very intentional, bro. Come on. Like all this, I'm showing you a piece of my heart, you know. And then on the record itself, it's a very honest record. It's talking about like his mom, he's putting a piece of himself in music. Like it's a very conscious effort to actually make music. And then he went to meet pheelz, who has a lot of range, who can give you anything you want. Like he's an instrumentalist. Like it's a very intentional approach. Like, and David went to pheelz last year. David started working with pheelz last year, right? And coincidentally, it was last year, Q4 was also when Grammy nominations were announced. Bro. So let's say it's a big four, right? It's in Nigerian music.
Yeah.
It's a big four right now. So it's David, it's Olamide, it's Burna, right? But in terms of like foreign reckoning, it's Wiz, David, and Burna. So if Burna has had all of that, if Burna has had a Grammys nominations, 3 or 4 nominations, 3 nominations, and now Wiz has had 2 nominations and has had a Billboard hit, you can be sure that Davido wants a Billboard hit and wants a Grammy. It's what it is. So like I was saying, artists want to, especially when it pertains to competition, you don't want to be left out. Now the question is, does it need to win a Grammy to cement its legacy? No, it doesn't. Yeah. Like it will be a nice add-on. Yeah. Right? Don't get me wrong, it will be a nice add-on. It's important. But for what is done, will we count him down if he doesn't win a Grammy? Maybe not. But is it going to stop? Is that going to mean Davido himself will not want to win a Grammy? No. Trust me, all of them are built that way. All of them are built that way. Because you don't want to be left out of conversations. Everybody. 1,000. Grammy.
All right. But do you think shouts of not having a classic album has gotten to Davido?
I don't live in his mind, so I can't say. But there's a consensus of people that actually know music. Is a consensus that he doesn't have a classic album. Is that good albums? A Good Time is a good album. His first album, OBO, was a good album that for that time, it wasn't perfectly executed. If they had cut off certain records of that album, it could have been a really, really good album. Like cut off 4 or 5 records and remade some records with certain features. It could have been a really good album because there were some really, really good album cuts on that album. I was listening to it about 2 months ago and I was like, wow, this album's actually good, right? But it's not that level. Do you understand? It's still not a superstar. Still not a baddest guy evaluate. You know, it's not that Kaja, not the made in Lagos. You get his best album is still A Good Time. In terms of like, when you see the structure, the progression of the album, the experience, but still, it still lacks that. You know, if it's a B, you need to get on that level where everybody knows that, whoa, this is so it's a good album, but it's not an excellent creative output in terms of what great albums are. It's not on that level. So the shouts then originated out of that. A Better Time, let's not even go there. Let's not go there. I mean, that commercial success, but let's not go there. So the shouts definitely probably have gotten to him. So we're human. Make no mistake, we're human. We might all add, oh, I don't care, I don't. But bro, when you listen to certain types of people say certain things over and over again, you are going to try and say, okay, maybe they are not wrong. And then, even if it's that you don't believe them and you believe that you made the greatest albums that they're not calling classics, you are going to get to a level where, okay, I'm going to prove to you that I can do this thing. So that's how creatives are generally. So 1,000%, there is no way you didn't hear all of those things. There is no way you didn't hear them. No way. And would it have influenced some of this, the way he's going to make this album? Yeah, probably. But the thing is, do people really need to change their sound to 100% in order to satisfy certain things? To win a Grammy, yes. But to achieve a classic album, maybe not. Maybe you just have to have a different approach on the same. You have to have a different approach on the same approach. Does that make sense? Have a different approach inside the same approach. So that means maybe you are using different types of producers. That you are listening to different things, listening to classic albums as regards the construction and how they made them, and then you are trying to incorporate that into your sound. Maybe that's what it is.
Alright, but do you think he's reneging on his approach to music? I mean, he went on Ibuka's interview.
Yeah.
And he did all that with the Burna Boy this and all that.
Yeah. That was weird. Maybe not weird. At the time, it was his truth, right? He was trying to say that I don't need to do all that to I don't need to do that to be successful. Yeah. But what he probably didn't realize at the time, and what a lot of people didn't realize at the time, was that was the reality of the time. Things changed. Yeah. Like at the time, Grammys were not in the conversation. No, Grammys were, but they were not a core part of the conversation. They hadn't become like a totem or a focal point of like artistry, celebration of excellence. Like they hadn't been there. And probably most people, including me, didn't even believe that Burna Boy was going to win in 2021. Let's not lie. So it probably didn't. It was at the time. At the time also, they were also beefing. They were beefing at the time as well, right? So a lot of things contributed to the comments that he made, and those comments also came on the back of him saying that Wiz and Burna were aligning, and he was saying that he wasn't going to work because he probably felt like they were aligning against him. He said it on that show. That all this thing I do, you know, but wow. He said it during that interview. So those things came from a point of. It came from a defensive point. Do you understand? From a defensive point, not an offensive point. This is an offensive point. Does that make sense? It's like a war, right? If you are taking hits, you're not going to see beyond those. You're not going to see beyond those hits. It takes a really good general to see the hits, to see attack as a form of defense, right? But when you are attacking, you tend to see things differently. You see different strategies, how you can make things work, how you can take over their king, how you can take their women, all these things, right? So that's how it works. This particular situation. So, is it going to come back to bite him in the ass? Absolutely. I can see people cutting those clips and putting them on social media when that song drops. But it's also because, it's not going to be because it was wrong. A lot of stars are stupid. Stars are dumb. They are dumb people. So it's not going to be because those guys, what they're going to be thinking is, you said this and you went ahead and did the same thing. Oh my God, ha ha ha. But it's stupid. It's just adapting to situations. That's the long and short of it. It's just like, you think Wiz was thinking about featuring Justin Bieber on Essence before he released Essence? No, it wasn't. As situations determined and they wanted to achieve a certain level of success, you need to put someone on it and they put the person on it and everybody moved on. Simple.
All right, do you think this Davido's new approach is similar to Wizkid or Burna Boy's approach?
Wow, okay. I think it's a little bit of both. Because when you look at Wiz as well, there was a change in approach in terms of the first single of Made in Lagos was Smile. You guys remember very well. That was the pop record. That was not a pop record. It featured her, who is a serial Grammy baby. Who is it? In terms of Grammy babies, it doesn't get bigger than her. The next single was a pop record, right? Next single featured Burna Boy, who was also a gateway Grammy baby in terms of afrobeats. But in terms of like the approach to the music, it's more Burna Boy-esque. Slightly more Burna Boy-esque. It's the sound, the approach, the sound itself is more, slightly more Burna Boy-esque. I can't see Wiz making a record requires. I mean, it might happen, but I can't see it. I can most likely see that with Burna. Yeah. But probably going to be Burna. But it also offers insights into what this album might sound like. I'm definitely interested to see what the album sounds like. What understood that the album is done. So yeah, that's what understood that album is done. I'm definitely looking forward to listen to what the album sounds like. I would love for that guy to have a classic album. It's important. It would be nice to see him have a classic album. It would be nice.
Alright.
Not what stands endorsed and what they call, oh my God, it's the greatest. Even if Zlatan's debut album, that wasn't it. Bro, come on. A lot of people are going to cap for it on social media. People can cap for nonsense. So let's move on.
When do you think Davido started formulating this opinion?
Like I said, he worked, one of the things I work with, he has worked a lot with pheelz, right? And what I heard was I started happening in Q4 last year. The Grammy conversations for Wiz started happening in Q3, end of Q3/Q4 last year, right? That was when Justin Bieber features happened. That was when the conversation started building up, right? And then the nominations dropped in Q4, I believe. So, probably going to be around that time. Because now, in the big three, quote and unquote, of the guys that are making international exploits, he's the only one that's left out. So,
this particular song, do you think it retained any Afrobeats essence?
Oh, 1000%. There's an Afrobeats essence on it. The drums are still Afrobeats. The percussion is still Afrobeats, right? The delivery is still significantly Afrobeats, but the approach to the music is a little more conscious. So it's a little in between. So again, kind of Burna Boy-esque. But in terms of like what we're saying, that's what we're saying is Burna Boy-esque. In terms of the people we've seen do something similar, that's what we're saying is Burna Boy-esque. It's not like what he's doing is a spitting image of what Burna has done. Does that make sense? It's not like he can't even do what Burna Boy does, just like Burna Boy can't do what he does. Like, I can't imagine Burna Boy and Jowo, for example. I mean, he can do it, but I can't imagine Burna Boy making Jowo like by himself, except as a featured artist. You get what I mean? Like, it's unlikely that Burna Boy is going to make a record like that. Just like I can't see Davido making a record like Monsters You Made. You get what I mean? So, the approach is different. Like the approach is similar in terms of that we're going to say is Burna Boy-esque because in recent times Burna Boy has followed that similar approach. But in terms of like the essence of the music and what the way it's actually delivering things is significantly Davido.
All right, so but testing new sounds, I would say, is always risky. Do you think Davido is sacrificing hits with this approach?
Bro, when we did a Facts on the episode about Wizkid's Grammy, Ube in Lagos, the title of that on Facts, so anybody can check it, was as Nigerian superstars sacrificing hits for quality. There will come a time, because right now, even if you don't market a particular single, the week you drop your album, your songs are going to chart heavily. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, especially if you pitch one song better than the others, your songs are going to charge heavily. Even this song, it might not exactly be a groundbreaking hit, like a fan, or if. It could be, I'm not saying it won't be, it could be, but it might not be. But what I'm saying is, even if it does, even if it's not, it's still going to chart on Turntable, it's still going to chart on Apple Music, right? Because it's Davido, he has way too much social capital and way too much fan base for that record not to hit number 1 on a lot of charts, right? But in terms of like you chasing certain frontiers, people don't even need to chase hot singles for them to have successful albums anymore, especially if they're superstar artists, because your singles are going to ascend to that level of single and hits, quote unquote. I mean, your songs from your album, because that's why you see people release albums these days. All of the songs that they release on the album are going to chart on Billboard Hot 100, because a significant amount of people right now, like the world is very young, and how a lot of people, digital behavior for a lot of young people is streaming is biased towards streaming, right? So it means a lot of them are going to be consuming their music via streaming, and a lot of these guys' fans are these people. When you're big enough, you're going to have a lot of people from that. So it means that a significant the behavior that determines chart success these days is very, very streaming based. So that means Davido, either he releases hits or not, or singles or not, some songs on his albums are going to get on the charts. So what I'm saying in essence is, if he decides to sacrifice hot singles for this, it's still going to have successful songs. Look at Burna, for example. Burna didn't exactly have hits for Twice and stuff, but did he have successful songs? Yes. So that's the way, those are the dynamics we need to look at it from. So it then brings us to like a Davido, for example, in the sense that, does he need to sacrifice hits for a classic album? Maybe not. Maybe not. But does it, in terms of like a Grammy, does he need to sacrifice hits as we currently know it for a Grammy? He might need to do. I'm not saying he will. He might not always need to do it, but he might need to do it as well. So that's it.
When do you think this album is going to drop?
A lot of people are saying Q3, at some point in Q3. Some people are saying at the start of Q4. But if I were to guess, December is our summer. So maybe at the start of Q4, you might see the album. And that's facts only.